Kundalini awakening experience.
I just started the recording.
Big guy, hide yourself. Yeah, she had a Kundalini awakening experience, and her the way that she describes it versus how these other yogis and other people have had explain it is that she went through each dimension, and when she went through the mind, which she said was actually here, she was able to see each thought that she ever had, every choice that she ever made was a string, and like just a flash, she went through every thought that shaped her, and was able to like fulfill or complete each decision, and be good with it, until it like went into like bubbled up into nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she went to the next level. The heart, and all these, and there was a presence there. And then the fifth chakra was all these other beings, and the sixth chakra was creating, and then she went up to seventh, where it was it wasn't self-realization, something reflectance or something like that, like recognizing that you are one with everything. That it was amazing. But you should meet her.
I will someday. I know she's an artist.
Yeah, yeah, she's very artist. She's gonna have her exhibit this month, exhibition at Sierra Arts.
Okay.
So opening night.
Great. Wow, I'm sure I'll see it on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
do you want to record it on your audio too?
I think
because for Facebook, for YouTube, you'll have to be online to watch your video.
Okay.
And if you record it on your phone, you can listen to it while you're kayaking or whatever, driving.
Or you could maybe Dropbox it or upload it to my Dropbox.
Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah.
I know. I'm glad we're doing it this way though, because I was pounding, like it was like sitting here, and I was like, and then I was like, I have my headphones on. Okay. All right, so this portion of it, we're aiming, because I know we gotta be on time and stuff. We're doing massage too.
This is gonna take 1 hour.
Okay.
And then we're gonna start the massage at 11:30.
Sweet.
Okay.
Long time.
Okay.
Long time.
Okay. So as I open up your chart for today, for right now, we're already about a month into 2020, and this year has a very impactful theme that I was talking with you earlier. What I'm going to be doing as I go through your reading, it's going to be recorded here. I'm going to talk about your houses, and I'm going to give very specific dates. And the way I'm doing readings this year is that for each of these transits, I'm going to give you a very specific like writing prompt or like question to ask your soul or unconscious. And that way, and it's going to be based on your configuration of your chart. These are themes that the whole world is going to be dealing with, but I'm going to make it so that it's specific to you. And then I highly recommend that you sit and you ask yourself the question on that day, because the answers will be more readily available to you. And if you do this in order and you continue with this practice all year, by the end of the year, we will find ourselves in a really incredible space. Okay? So the juice is worth the squeeze.
I'm sure. I'm excited because it's also, I've set this year up to test out some things with my business or my path that I want to go on, and how I want to, separate myself from, working in the corporate world and going back to my self-employment. And, so I'm using this year to do all the research and the development and building and just testing some ideas out and working with other people, and graphic design, videography, photography, and website building. So,
great. Yeah. This is a really good year for you to create things. And your thoughts around what you're creating are going to be transforming. the overall arching theme is we're highly creative manifesting beings. And we've been doing it this whole time, but that is quickening. And we're not only manifesting what we're conscious of, but we're manifesting our unconscious. And depending on what we believe about the world, will create our reality. So if we believe, as in first here, that it takes pain and suffering to unbind and heal trauma, then we will cultivate pain and suffering to unbind energy and heal trauma. Because we will believe that it requires that in order for us to grow and heal. If we adopt a belief that is, wow, where I observe this situation is either energy rich or energy poor. I'm right now choosing to observe the situation from a space in my observational field that feels really energy poor. And I'm combining that thing with shame and failure and betrayal. I'm experiencing these emotions bundled with how I'm observing this situation. And if I just recognize all this is merely an observation, can I have another perspective? Can I perceive this from a different place? Can I perceive the self from the position that that person is in? Then I can actually begin recognizing that when I observe from a different location in my field, if I observe it from over here, then it looks very different than when I take it super personal as like, well, they're deliberately trying to hurt me. If I observe it from they're deliberately trying to hurt me, then I observe it from a place of betrayal. And if I observe it from they're cultivating the amount of separation, pain, and the experiences that they need to leverage themselves, and it has nothing to do with me, then I observe it from a different location, and suddenly the experience of it is different.
Not so attached.
It's not so attached, and it's also not trying to create some pain to cause us to behave a way that we did in the past. So this whole year, we're going to have lots of experiences that show us where our subconscious beliefs are, so that we can become very clear about what those things are, and we can recognize that the impact we have on what we're creating in our life is more than we ever dreamed. We are creating our subconscious, and we want to be as aware of our subconscious as possible, so that we can be very clear how we're not victims of what we're creating. Okay. So there will be many questions, and there will be very specific seeds that you will plant each year or each month to help you to uncover your subconscious. Okay. So January was an interesting month. I'm going to go over some dates with you for January just for your review. On the 10th, we had that full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn, and Uranus moved direct in your house of relationships. So around the 10th, you would have experienced some version of a universal truth. You would have had some sort of epiphany around that full moon, and it would have created a new way of approaching relationship, a shift.
That's about right when that whole thing happened with Emma. When I blocked her.
Yep, you actually claimed something.
Yeah, I decided that I can't. I can't help her. That's the best way I can help her, just by not helping her.
Because you received an illuminating truth, and that's Cancer's in your house of truth, and it was emotional truth. And so you had an emotional epiphany that caused you to claim something new. That was on the 10th. On the 12th and 13th, you would have also experienced Venus moving into Pisces, which would have, I'm going to create something more graceful in my world regarding the way I connect with others. And Saturn and Pluto conjunct would have said, and I'm going to believe something different about what's possible for me. That was on the 12th and 13th. On the 24th, we had a new moon in Aquarius. And the seed that you planted in that time was the seed of, I'm going to take better care of myself. I'm going to really have my own back and take much better care of myself.
I was also transcribing a lot of that during that time too. Was it the 24th?
The 24th.
Yeah, I was on a plane to see a friend that I exploring, a relationship in back east in North Carolina. I was like, oh, well, going through that and all that whole time was how I was going to be. What was it? Well, the compassion in my relationship with others. I forgot my little point there. Yeah.
It's just confirming that you're on target.
Yes.
So that was that new moon. So you planted a seed while you're on the airplane that you were going to learn, because Aquarius is like information from like channeling information. So you actually like transcribed your reading because you are ready to take care of your life differently.
Yes. Yeah. That's what it was. I was going to be taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I was just like, being here today is part of, my own pampering.
Yeah.
Doing this reading and massage. I'm going to take care of myself.
We're in the time, the sun's in Aquarius right now. So this is during Aquarius season and Aquarian things. It's a really good time for self-care for you. You could even pay attention to each month when the moon is in Aquarius and plan something really juicy for yourself when the moon's in Aquarius. And there's lots of websites that you can go to find out the moon schedule. Cafe Astrology is one of those great sources. Cafeastrology.com, I think it is. So on February 7th, I'm kind of moving through this kind of quickly because we've already been through January. On February 7th, Venus moved into Aries. This just happened a couple days ago. The energy has shifted. And when this energy shifted as Venus moved into Aries, it's a feeling of it might not be graceful, but I really want to get to the root of this for good. I might need to take all of the contents out of my kitchen, my cabinets, because I prefer it to. So it might be messy initially, but I would prefer to have everything working really efficiently in my life. And this is going to show up in your house of your inner temple.
Yeah, I just did my taxes.
Perfect. So it might be messy at first, but now you really want to make sure that you've got it, you've got a good sustainable foundation for yourself.
It's part of my whole path of like setting up everything. Yeah.
And then today is the 9th, or maybe it's the 8th. We have a full moon tonight. This full moon in Leo. The full moon in Leo for you is all about what is the legacy that you're actually leaving for this planet. Like you're discovering more about the legacy that you're here to leave on the planet. And so we're going to investigate where you've come from to acknowledge the reflection of what you've actually come here to leave. So another thing about January that I wanted to, there's a progression. There are these thresholds that we're moving through this year. And January was phase 1. And in January, it was like we were all given a new vehicle. And we can call this vehicle, maybe we'll use the metaphor of a bicycle. So when you're first given a new bicycle, you've never ridden a bicycle before, usually the bicycle has training wheels on it. And it's exciting to get it. And we've never interfaced with this way of living before, but we get on it and it's relatively safe. We've got the training wheels on, we learn how to steer, we learn how to move the pedals so that we can be in motion, and we learn that this new way of moving is sort of exciting. It's a little bit scary and a little bit exciting. So we're in this new way of experiencing our lives. For you, this shows up in your house of your new beliefs. So all of a sudden you're having some new beliefs that are creating new experiences in your life. And right now the training wheels are on because you're really meant to test this out. What if my belief is this? What if my belief is this? And when you have training wheels on, you can actually lean from side to side and you don't actually fall off the bicycle. So this month of January, for the first quarter of the year, we're like, okay, I'm in new territory. I'm creating from my life in a new way. And the way you're creating is through having new beliefs about things. Okay? So that was the first phase. Now there's 4 phases. We're going to go through this first quarter riding with the training wheels on. And I'm going to go through the months of February and March, those dates. And in April, the training wheels will come off.
Wow.
And so if you can remember riding a bicycle, what happens when the training wheels come off?
Yeah.
Basically, you fall down a couple times. You learn how you were coping from on the train, how you were relying on the training wheels. And there will be some crashes.
Yeah.
When the training wheels are off, we're actually able to ride our bikes a little bit faster. And our falls are a little bit more painful. So
which house is the house of beliefs?
The house of beliefs is the 3rd house.
My 3rd house. Okay.
It's the house of Capricorn. And for you, your beliefs manifest, because Capricorn is the manifesting. It actually becomes tangible. So you have a lot of power in what you believe comes true. So this year you're going to investigate your beliefs about your business that you can create, your beliefs about the relationships you can create, your beliefs about what it takes for you to have what you want. You might have a belief that it takes X, Y, and Z for you to get what you want. That might just be a belief. And so you're going to have an opportunity to investigate, do I really want to hold these beliefs? They've been serving me for a long time. I'm manifesting exactly what I believe. What happens if I change the recipe? And this is a training wheel period for you to change the recipe with the training wheels on.
I'm down for that.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of, there's a process to examining our beliefs. I'm sure you have many of them already, but whatever process you use, make sure you find out what need is your belief meeting. What need? There's a fundamental need. There's needs that all humans have. Yeah. And we believe and value whatever it takes to fulfill our needs. Okay? And I can reveal more of that to you if you want a refresher on those needs. So when we move into February, as I said, the 9th is a time for you to be seeing the reflection of what your legacy is. On the 16th, there's going to be 2 major shifts. Mars is going to move into Capricorn, which is the behavior for you. It's how you take action. And it's through the house of your beliefs, the 3rd house. Mars is going to move into taking action on what you truly believe on the 16th. On the same exact day, Mercury is going to be retrograding through your 5th house of what you're creating, meaning that your actions are going to be revising what you're creating. You're going to begin to rewrite what you're creating. And I imagine what you begin creating, you're going to begin believing that what you do has a great impact for the people you have compassion for. You're going to start believing, instead of, I want to create this because I'm interested in it, and it's a little bit about me, you're going to have a higher appreciation and value for how what you're creating will impact other people that you're compassionate about.
Yeah. While I was having this momentum to develop this my business or go into self-employment again, there were things from my past. 10 years ago, I was starting to work on films, documentary films.
Yep.
And I couldn't do it. The stars didn't align for that. I didn't get the support I needed, and I didn't have the confidence and all this other stuff. It just all fell flat. So I had 40 hours of interviews for 2 or 3 different movies that I was working with, and that was also all over the place. And with indigenous tribes, with UFOs and ETs and all these things, and it was super important. But all of a sudden, they've started to pop up in my field of reality again. Just little hints here and there. Just this past month, I was transcribing an important video for a friend of mine who also kind of had the whole same situation as me. She went to Colombia to interview the Kogi tribe that had a huge important message for the world. And I'm transcribing it and translating it and putting captions on it right now. And I showed her a clip of it, and it's like they're asking for help. it's huge, like epic stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You
For
know,
humanity.
for humanity.
Yep.
So aside from me wanting to do my own little business and, you know, live in Thailand for a month or something, and just be like there's also this great big scale of like, you know, the legacy aspect.
The legacy for humanity.
Yeah.
Which is what is being transformed in your mind. You're beginning to change your perspective from the small scale to the large scale. And when that why is big enough, all the petty little tiny little things that you think about like that are not enough energy for you, all of a sudden they just get thrown out the window, because the bigger vision for humanity becomes the compelling energy source. And the way you impact humanity becomes, you get greater bandwidth for all of your projects, because you know how it will impact and the legacy that you'll leave. So I'm going to invite you, since we have a whole hour after this reading, I'm going to invite you to share your stories with me during your massage, because I want to make sure I give you all these dates. It's okay. I love what we're talking about, but I know we have a bit of a time constraint, and I want to be able to give you all of these dates, and you're going to appreciate it later. Because you'll be, I want to receive everything you're saying, but you don't need to be listening to what you're saying later.
I know.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I would skip through it anyways. I don't like hear myself.
I want to hear you. I want to hear you when I'm massaging you, or when we're talking after. Okay. I've given a lot of these readings. They take a whole hour.
Okay. I just want to say hi. Hello, me. Hi.
Okay. So that's going to happen on the 16th. On the 18th, the sun is going to enter Pisces. So when the sun enters Pisces, you're already beginning that process of like, I know this is for humanity. When the sun moves into Pisces on the 18th, you're going to begin to actually see it manifest. You're going to actually see people that can be impacted. And it's going to bring a whole bunch of energy to that project. And it's going to be like, like illuminated, like I'm seeing it even more. So it'll give a lot of energy and excitement to that. The 23rd, we have a new moon in Pisces, and that's in the same house, the 5th house of what you're creating. You're going to be planting a seed for what you're creating for humanity. So it'll be like a wish upon a star. And when we wish upon a star, if you listen to that old song, makes no difference who you are, as long as everything your heart desires will come true. Yeah. So this is a manifestation from the heart, because you feel a level of compassion and love for humanity. When we wish something from our heart for humanity, it actually manifests. So that's the new moon on the 23rd in Pisces. As we enter into March, Venus will move into Taurus. This is good news for your relationship house. When Venus moves into Taurus, I'm actually going to come edit. I'm going to bring our chart to the equinox, because that's a great day to start from. When Venus starts moving through Taurus in your 7th house of relationship, you will begin to see grace in who your allies are. This doesn't necessarily mean like female partnership, but it can. It can mean female partnership. It can mean people that you really feel coherence with, that are your allies, that you're going to want to be taking with you along your journey. They're going to be aligned with your vision and mission, and it's going to begin to feel graceful. And so this is really wonderful news, and that's starting in March, when Venus on March 4th. On March 9th, we have a full moon in Virgo, and on the same day, we have Mercury moving direct through Aquarius. So on March 9th, the full moon in Virgo is going to be a reflection of how you impact other people. And that's in your 11th house, the house of how you impact the fixed paradigm. So the full moon will be a reflection of that, and you'll be able to get this in your bigger picture. When Mercury moves direct in Aquarius, you are going to feel that you're able to balance that with how you take good care of yourself. You'll begin to see a correspondence between when I take good care of myself, I actually see how it's impacting humanity, because I actually see that what I desire for myself is aligned with meeting the needs of humanity. And in the past, you may have had a paradigm where you have to sacrifice yourself in order to impact. And this is the paradigm that you're shifting. It's part of your belief restructuring. On the 21st of March, Saturn will move into Aquarius. And this is exciting for the world, because when Saturn pops into Aquarius, we actually begin to see the new world that we're creating. We actually begin, it's like, oh, the structures begin to shift. We actually get like super inspired. And it's really important to take note of what you're beginning to see at this time, because it's going to retrograde and go away. And as it goes away, we're going to feel like we're in the woods again. After we get the training wheels off, we're going to fall down. We're going to have self-doubt. We're going to think, I was stupid to believe that I could do this. Like, we're going to be challenged. Our beliefs are going to begin challenging us again. And we're going to have an opportunity to go back into some of our self-loathing, our low self-worth, our not enoughness, our insecurities. And we're going to feel like we've lost sight of the vision. But on the 21st, it's so important to look around and be like, okay, I know this is what I want to be creating. And I know that this will become invisible again. I'm at the peak of the mountain. I can see where I'm going. And now I have to go into the valley where I'm going to lose track. But I'm going to keep the vision alive, because I know this is where the world is going. Okay? So on the 21st of March, take stock. And it'll be present for us for a little while, for a window. And it's going to just get like something important to note about these dates. The thing doesn't necessarily always happen on the date. Like, the apple becomes ripe on the tree, but it doesn't fall off the tree on the date it becomes ripe. We don't pick it off the tree on the day it becomes ripe. It can sit ripe on the tree for a little while, right? And if it sits ripe on the tree for too long, birds can peck at it. And if it falls onto the ground for too long, the ants will eat it. So there's like a sweet spot where we want to like pluck the fruit and share it or eat it. And so these dates are the ripe date. And then we have this window of ripeness. And so all of these dates are kind of like this. You can pick the fruit even before, when you pull something and you can tell it's not quite ripe, but I just want to take it. Yeah. You might not get all the sweetness of it, but you can still eat it. It's still edible. So this metaphor will apply for some sort of vision that becomes ripe. And on the 24th, we have a new moon in Aries. The new moon in Aries is planting a seed for living your life from your temple. When we live our life from our temple, that's when we completely surrender to the truth that we know something amazing, that we've come here to be this unique expression, and we, without apology, are going to do it. So we're planting the seed of living from our temple. This is when we experience some inner authority, and we no longer believe that we have to enter another person's temple in order to be better. Yeah, they're planting the seed for that. Yeah. That will come ripe in 6 months from that point. Okay? So all the seeds take 6 months to begin to see the sprouting.
Wow. I've had that happen before, yeah. Not even knowing, but I counted 6 months.
It's the way it's because the new moon is when the moon is close to the sun, and it's like the sun and the moon like plant a seed. It's like the masculine and feminine are like fertilizing each other. And then you have another full moon, but it's not in the exact same space. Okay. So in 6 months from that point, the sun will be in the place where the moon was, and the moon will be in the place where the seed was planted. Do you understand? Yeah. So the moon will reflect the seed, because they'll be in opposition, they'll be in polarity with each other, and that's when you see the reflection of what was planted. Okay, super interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's magical. So then, on the 30th of March, Mars will move into Aquarius. When Mars moves into Aquarius, you will be taking action. Your behavior will reflect that you totally have your own back, that you're taking really good care of yourself. For you, taking good care of yourself is absolutely mandatory for the way that you're going to serve humanity. Because when you have yourself, your needs really well met, and you're really taking care of yourself, you have so much more bandwidth to serve. And so you're going to be taking lots of action. And what's important about that is because the next phase in the next month, the training wheels will come off. And so you taking care of yourself will be also taking care of your beliefs about yourself, taking care of how you treat yourself when you fall off the bike. What is your self-talk when you feel failure? What is your self-talk when something doesn't work right? How do you push through because, I'm just going to get a job again. Like I'm just going to do this again. Okay. So taking good care of yourself is going to be like, okay, maybe listen to this reading again. Yeah. And you're on April 3rd. Now we move into April. On April 3rd, Venus will move into Gemini. When Venus moves into Gemini, she's preparing for her retrograde, but she's going to move into Gemini, and it's going to open up intimacy. So intimacy, it's not really well understood what intimacy is. Intimacy, I believe that humans are moving toward telepathy, full transparency of being completely seen and being completely able to see another, and not judging that, not making it bad or wrong, not being ashamed of that. And so intimacy in the context of this reading has to do with really expanding into what is my real authentic truth about this, and can I allow people to really see that by communicating that and letting people really see from my temple how I'm living my life. And am I able to really see people, and do I judge what I'm seeing? Like, do I have any beliefs that should be different? Am I not able to actually see a person for what they really are because I want to see what I want to see about them? So intimacy is to actually see and to create a bridge for telepathy.
Okay.
It's very vulnerable. So
that sounds like
as Venus moves into that place, you're going to be expanding your awareness of what that really means for you in your life. And on the 4th, the day after, the training wheels come off. So,
okay,
so when the training wheels come off, it's kind of exhilarating and kind of exciting, because we know that we've come to a level of mastery where we're ready to start taking greater risks. This is going to happen in your belief sector, so your beliefs are going to be challenged, and you're going to begin manifesting your beliefs even faster. So if you believe that you can ride this bicycle and you can become centered and you're really congruent, if you think about it, to ride a bicycle, you really have to be centered. Yeah. You really have to like balance. Be grounded in yourself and have trust in yourself. When you begin to get nervous on that bicycle and you're like, oh my God, is my dad still holding the back of the bicycle? Then all of a sudden, boom, right? I don't know about you, but my dad ran behind my bike holding onto the little bar on the seat, my banana seat, and he ran and ran and ran, and then he'd let go, and I could feel as soon as the space would create, I would look back and feel he wasn't there, and then I would fall, and then I would cry, and then he couldn't make the pain go away, and he would encourage me to get back on the bicycle, and he didn't want me to suffer. He didn't want me to suffer, but he knew that if I didn't get back on that bike, I wouldn't learn. Now, there will be people falling off bicycles like crazy. They will be suffering. And The father in the scenario knows that the amount of blood shed doesn't matter. We got to get back on the bike. And I'm gonna love you in your pain, but you got to get back on the fucking bike. So there will be people falling, and we will be feeling like, oh, don't get back on that mean bicycle. There will be like, we'll feel like, oh, I don't like your suffering, and we won't like our own suffering. Whatever our relationship is with suffering is going to be what is challenged during this 3 months of time. And so we want to remember that father who sees this growing, beautiful child through their pain, growing through learning that their coping mechanism of leaning onto one wheel, they need to learn not to do that. And they won't learn not to do that until they fall. It's a really strong metaphor, because when we actually begin to get competency, no matter how many times we fall, it feels amazing. It's super empowering. Like, I learned how to ride a bicycle in Death Valley while I was camping. And I remember the first minute that I actually started to get it. And there's no one can give that to you. It's a rite of passage that all humans must find on their own. And so this is important, because this is the phase we're moving into. And for you, the way that you're interacting with intimacy is the space where this is going to be your bicycle area. Not only that, but your beliefs around intimacy, your beliefs about what you're creating, living from your temple, owning your truth. All of this is how you're going to be learning. It might feel painful to say the truth about something, because the truth can hurt someone. And they needed to hear the truth, because that's their falling off the bicycle. And we needed to be able to see the truth. So on the 7th, we have a full moon in Libra. For you, the full moon in Libra is going to reflect new spiritual, it's going to reflect how your spiritual awareness regarding relationship is working in your life. So it's a spiritual revelation about relationship. So I invite you to reflect on the spiritual component of what relationship really is for you. Okay? On the 11th, and that's the 12th house. Libra is your 12th house. So,
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember from the reading, it's my school for life.
It is your school for life.
Yeah.
So it'll be a spiritual, you'll have a spiritual epiphany of trust and relationship, of what relationship really means. And on the 11th, Mercury will move into Aries. When Mercury moves into Aries on the 11th, which is your 6th house of your temple, you will begin receiving a lot of communication about what it means to live from your temple. When you get this revelation about relationship, it's going to impact even more so how living from your temple is so important. And so you're going to be communicating with others and learning a lot about that with Mercury in this area. And it's going to be very liberating for you. When you live from your temple space, it's liberating in a way that, like, you can only experience.
Really? Okay.
The 22nd, we have a new moon in Taurus. The new moon in Taurus is going to be planting a seed for new types of relationships. I'm planting a seed for new types of relationships, new ways of being in relationship, because you just had this epiphany about what relationship really is. And now you're like welcoming these new kinds of relationships. And then on the 25th, Pluto will retrograde. Pluto is the first planet that's going to retrograde through this cycle of the getting the training wheels off.
Okay.
So as Pluto does this, it's going to begin destroying structures. It's the first fall from the training wheels coming off.
Yeah, I remember Pluto being be nasty, I guess, but it'd be necessary.
Yes, Pluto is the cut on your knee when you fell down because you're leaning on something on your training wheel. So Pluto is going to cut it, and we're going to begin to value. You're mentally going to be asked to have new beliefs around pain.
Oh boy.
Okay, the metaphor I planted for you about the falling off the bicycle and seeing the Father knowing, like, I'm going to comfort you, and you got to get back on through your fear. I'm planting a seed for you to experience a new way of experiencing pain or seeing pain from that perspective. Your own pain from the perspective of the person on the bicycle, and your own pain from the Father witnessing someone else's pain.
Right.
Okay. And it doesn't have to be a father. I don't know why. I think because my dad was the one that taught me how to ride a bike. Okay. So now we move into May. On May 5th.
So my birthday is April 30th. Is there?
So why don't we just take a look at that? This is right after the.
Right after Pluto.
Yeah. April 30th. We'll just go to your birthday and take a look. But your birthday looks like there's a lot of things happening tangibly and somatically in relationship because the sun's moving through Taurus. So you could be like enjoying these new allies that are in your life. Venus is still direct, so you're still enjoying the intimacy that would be experienced here. In fact, the only planet that's going retrograde is Pluto. It just started. And so you're really in a space of, sometimes the things that hurt is when things are really, really good. And then we are actually afraid of our success. Like, we're actually like, oh, what are my beliefs around my deserving to be this happy? Okay. Yeah. Like, do I feel I deserve this? Like, things are really good. And you can adjust. Pluto can cut out a belief that you had around deserving to be happy or waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know? It doesn't, even though we're talking about pain, all of the pain is self-inflicted. This is something that is really interesting about this. It's self-inflicted based on a belief, but usually it's out of alignment with the ultimate truth of love. So all we're doing is we're hunting, like Artemis. We're hunting for the beliefs that are out of alignment with love. And the ones that are out of alignment with love are the ones that are causing pain. So when we see someone suffering and we feel pain to see them suffering, and we think it's because we love them, there's a bigger truth that is even their pain is a level of love. Even their suffering is a way for them to cultivate even more love for themselves. And I can love them even more by valuing their process without the condition that they must be happy.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's transforming for you already. On this day, the moon will be up in Leo. When the moon's up in Leo, you're always going to feel like, wow, this is how I'm impacting. This is the legacy I'm leaving. Like you happen to have your birthday on a day where you actually get to see, like, you'll feel aligned with what you're creating in the world. And Mars is moving through Aquarius, so you're still taking actions to really like nourish yourself. Saturn is still in Aquarius. You're still seeing that beautiful vision of like things are going to be in a graceful period here. And in fact, this bike riding experience for you might actually be delicious, where you're like, I love it. Give me more. I'm learning so much. I love it. Like I'm aligned with learning even more about myself. So when we enter May, on May 5th, The North Node, which has been in Cancer for the last year and a half, will move into Gemini. For the last year and a half, we've been gaining experiential wisdom through like emotionally experiencing. So anything that we've had a real present emotional experience with, we've actually learned wisdom from that. So any pain you've experienced through your relationship, you're like, I'm feeling this all the way because I really want to learn. Okay? In the last year and a half, you've felt things intensely because you really wanted to learn from your experience. You really wanted the wisdom. And on May 5th, the North Node will move into Gemini, which is your house of intimacy. And it's also how humanity is going to begin learning. So what's going to happen on May 5th is you're going to start hearing a lot of people say, I learned this. This was my experience of healing this thing. This is my wisdom from experiencing this thing. And I'm now an expert in this field because I experienced a lot of it. And I know how this works. And so what's important is to recognize that while there's going to be a lot of experts out there sharing their experiential wisdom, you've also experienced quite a lot too. And we want to be able to entertain other people's opinions from their wisdom, because they're not just opinions to them, they're wisdom. And we want to also honor what we've learned and let them coexist. So no one's opinions are wrong. They're from their experiential wisdom. And everyone's going to get very opinionated. We're going to feel everyone's going to have opinions about a lot of things starting on May 5th.
Okay. Yeah.
And these opinions are going to feel they're going to feel like beliefs. They're going to feel like truths. Yep. And what we're going to be needing to do is recognize that those were generated through a year and a half of them having experiential wisdom. So everything people are saying and what we are saying. So in Gemini, the like underdeveloped Gemini energy would be, oh no, what I believe must be wrong because they are believing it so strongly, because they're believing what they believe so strongly. What if what I believe is not wrong and I'm open to hearing what they're saying and what they're believing is not wrong or whatever, and I hope that they'll be open to hearing from my perspective, as long as we recognize these are just perspectives of the same elephant of truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So we're going to have a whole year and a half of this, and it's going to your intimacy sector. So this is going to deepen your experience with intimacy, because essentially for you to be transparent and telepathic with someone, we have to be able to hear what their opinion is, recognize it's coming from their experiential wisdom, love an individual for who they are and how they're expressing, and be able to accept them in our paradigm. Yeah. So it'll create intimacy rather than separation. You're going to be challenged for the next year and a half to cultivate greater intimacy. And you're also going to be, how do you balance that with also honoring your own temple? It's a lot of growth.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah. It's all recorded. Where are we at here? Are we still in May? Oh my gosh. Okay, we're still in May. We have, this is okay. We have a lot more to cover. So the full moon in Scorpio is going to be a reflection of who you are becoming. You're going to see a reflection of a new version of you becoming. That's in your first house. That's on the 7th of May. On the 11th of May, two things are going to happen. Saturn's going to retrograde, and Mercury is going to move into Gemini. So on that day, the 11th, we're going to feel a big shift in energy. Saturn, that's been showing us the vision for the future, is going to begin to pull it back. And so we're going to go into the woods, and we're going to start to lose track of the vision of what we're moving toward. And Mercury is going to move into Gemini, which is, and everyone's got an opinion about what they believe now. So lots and lots of opinions. And part of the vision moving away is so that we can actually like hold space for that, because it's going to be da 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 da. The 13th, Mars is going to move into Pisces. You're going to start behaving toward your creations, taking action toward what you're creating more fully. And on the same exact day when Mars moves there, Venus is going to pull retrograde. When Venus pulls retrograde, she's going to be saying, take action there and evaluate the way that you're intimate with others, and rethink what intimacy with others looks like. Like maybe rethink who you're trusting with your intimacy. Okay. This is the beginning of the retrograde pullback. And on the 14th, Jupiter will retrograde. When Jupiter retrogrades, it's going to feel like I want to contract. I've fallen off the bicycle, and I want to contract and regroup and take a look at what I'm believing that's creating this distrust, that's creating this love, this falling out of opinions. Maybe some allies have different opinions than you do, and the project starts to get kind of haywire, and we got to pull the project back or something like that. The new moon in Gemini is going to be planting a seed of a new way of being and intimacy. So all of this stuff's going to happen, and you're going to have to rethink what intimacy means for you. On June 5th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is in your second house of what you value. You're going to see a reflection of how your values have been manifested so far. A reflection, I'll give you a hint, whatever you're experiencing in your life right now is a reflection of what you're currently valuing. On this day, on June 5th, you're going to see what has changed in accordance with your change in values. On the 18th, Mercury will pull retrograde in Cancer. When Mercury pulls retrograde in Cancer, you're going to be reevaluating your own experiential wisdom. You're going to be reevaluating what you learned in the last year and a half about your experiential wisdom. You're going to see it from a different perspective. You may have experienced your pain through relationships a certain way, the truths that were revealed, and suddenly you're going to be reevaluating everything you believed about what you learned experientially, which is going to inform your opinions, and it's going to inform the way you're intimate. There's going to be some restructuring there.
Yeah, a lot of restructuring of intimacy, relationships, and values.
Yes. On the 21st of June, you have a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. The new moon is going to be planting a seed for being fresh with your experiential wisdom, seeing your experiences as novel to invite greater wisdom. On the 23rd, Neptune will retrograde in Pisces. When Neptune retrogrades in Pisces, you're going to begin having a new intuitive and spiritual connection to what you're creating and manifesting for the world. And that's going to last for a couple of months. So you're going to be really seeing the bigger why from a different perspective. On the 25th, Venus will move direct in Gemini in your 8th house of intimacy, where you're going to begin implementing and integrating everything you've now learned about intimacy. On the 27th, Mars will move into Aries. When Mars moves into Aries, it's going to be healing some wounds around really honoring your temple. It's going to be healing some shame around really living from your temple. So again, you're going to recommit to behaving in accordance with your temple again. And on the 30th, the next threshold of the bike riding metaphor begins.
Oh, really?
On June 30th, Jupiter will be conjunct with Pluto. The growth, we'll be experiencing the growth of all of our falls. And this will be the moment where we begin to have some competency in riding our bicycle. So it's like the exciting moment when we decide we're going to take a bike ride. We're going to get on it all by ourselves, and we're going to do it. And we're going to have that adrenaline rush of I'm going to go on a bike ride by myself, and it's going to be fun, and I'm going to go places I haven't been before because I have a little bit more confidence here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Of course, these are both retrograde. And so when both of these are congruent, they're conjunct in a retrograde space, we're going to be like doing this from a place of like, I'm doing this to strengthen. There's still resistance bands on, and I'm doing this to strengthen myself, because a sneak peek, the next stage of this is we're going to be entering a bike race. So this is still training. We're getting some competency, but we're training because we know a bike race is going to happen at the end of the year. Okay. That's on July. Okay, no, on July 1st. Let's just move this puppy to the summer solstice. Transit date 6/21. Okay. On July 1st, Saturn is going to retrograde. It's going to enter into Capricorn. We're going to have fully lost vision. We're going to fully not be able to see our future vision by this point. And we're going to be just having to ride that bicycle without knowing why. We're going to have a spiritual connection with our why, because it's not going to be tangibly seen. And we're going to be riding our bicycle through that uncertainty anyway. We're not going to have proof, and we're going to have to do it anyway, because that's the faith. Okay. On the 5th, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. That's going to be a reflection of how our beliefs, for you, how your beliefs have been manifesting.
Okay. So it's sort of a harvesting or reflection, or not harvest, but a reflection.
It is. It's like a harvest of the seed you planted when the new moon in Capricorn happened in December. Last December, there's a new moon in Capricorn on the 26th of December.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll see the blooming of that seed.
Yeah, I remember doing meditation.
Okay. On the 11th of July, Chiron's going to retrograde in your house of your temple. When Chiron does this, you're going to be recognizing the medicine that you actually carry for the world from your temple and reevaluating what that medicine is. On the 12th, Mercury will move direct in Cancer, which is, I'm ready to roll with my new experiential wisdom. I'm being present with my experiences from a different perspective now, and I'm ready to gain new wisdom from my experiences. And on the 20th, we have a new moon in Cancer, which is I'm planting the seed for new experiential wisdom. On August 3rd, we have a full moon in Aquarius. I am seeing the reflection of taking good care of myself. On the 15th, we have Uranus retrograde. Uranus is going to be retrograding in your house of relationships, of who you trust. When Uranus, I reevaluate the way that I trust individuals. I reevaluate the way that I'm in partnership with other people on my projects and in my life. And then the new moon in Leo on the 18th of August is going to be, I'm planting the seed of the legacy I now am leaving. September 2nd, we have a full moon in Pisces. The full moon in Pisces is going to be in your 5th house, and I see the reflection of what I've been creating. I see the reflection of what I've been creating. I'm seeing the harvest of what I've been working on. On the 6th of September, Venus will move into Leo. I'm seeing even more gracefully the legacy that I'm leaving. I'm seeing the fruit of what I'm creating. I'm seeing how it's gracefully leaving my legacy. On the 13th, Mercury will retrograde again. No, that's in October. I'm sorry. We're still in September. On the 12th of September, sorry, Jupiter is going to move direct in Capricorn. When Jupiter moves direct, it's like, okay, the resistance bands are coming off of the bicycle, and we're going to begin actually riding more confidently. Okay, we're going to start feeling, because we're seeing proofs now.
Yeah.
And so we're like, this is getting really exciting. All the faith and all the trust I've been putting into this and all of the effort, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see my growth. And on the 17th, the new moon in Virgo is, I'm planting the seeds for how I'm impacting even more. Impacting groups of people, impacting the collective through my service. On the 29th, Saturn moves direct, the 29th of September, Saturn moves direct in Capricorn. The structures are all set. My belief structures are all set. I'm ready to ride this bicycle in the direction I want to go.
Okay.
On October 1st, we have a full moon in Aries. And we have 2 full moons in October. And they're preparing us for the bike race, which kicks off in November. So in October, the full moon is saying, all right, I see the reflection of how I'm honoring living from my temple. Seeing the reflection and valuing how living from my temple is really important. Pluto moves direct in Capricorn. Pluto is saying, all right, let's go. We're all healed up. We're ready to get ready for our bike race. We're moving forward.
No destruction.
Up and out. We're going for it.
Okay.
Yeah. On the 13th, Mercury will retrograde in Scorpio. When Mercury retrogrades to Scorpio, you're going to be really taking this last Mercury retrograde to evaluate who is the new Neal. Like, this is the new Neal. I'm registering for the bike race. This is Neal. Here's my name. Here's my way of being. Here's my beliefs. Here's what I value. Here's how I serve. Here's my legacy. I'm registering for the bike race, for the new paradigm for the world, for the next 28 years of shift. Here's my registration papers. So you're reevaluating what that means during that retrograde season, because it's in your first house of identity. On the 31st, the full moon in Taurus is, I'm seeing the reflections of how I've trusted people and who my allies are. I see the reflection of how I've trusted, who I trust. The team has been created. Okay.
Yeah.
On November 3rd, Mercury is moving direct in Libra, because it retrograded back into your spiritual house of who's Neal. And you're ready to move forward with, all right, I'm communicating. This is who I am. This is how I'm showing up. And I'm full transparency. This is my temple. This is all the things that I've restructured all year long. My operating system. On the 12th, the race begins. Jupiter will be conjunct Pluto. And this is, so when this happens, when Jupiter passes Pluto, it's going to say, and we're off.
Yeah.
Okay? That's right after the elections. So everyone's going to be, here's the thing. Even people who didn't get back on the bicycle are going to be in the bike race.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, can you imagine what it would be like to be entered into a bike race and you haven't mastered riding your bicycle? Or you believe it's the bike's fault, or it's the conditions' fault, or it's the road's fault, or it's everyone else's fault for why I can't ride my bike right. Okay? The world will be, the tiers will be separated by this point. There will be those who understand how things work and they've mastered their vehicle. There will be people who still think they're victims of the world. They will be in first tier. They will be creating pain and suffering and chaos. They will die. They will overdose. They will get very sick. They will shoot people. Like, there will be some chaos. And it's not, whatever our beliefs are about that chaos is going to discern which, if we think that we're victims of other people's shit, then we're choosing first tier too. So it's very high accountability by this point. It's amazing. Mars is going to move direct in Aries. Mars is saying, I am completely in alignment and congruent with my temple. Every action I take is from my temple space. And I've cultivated a lot of awareness about that by this point. You don't have to know right now. You will know by that time.
Yeah.
15th, the new moon in Scorpio. New moon in Scorpio is saying, I'm planting the seeds of who I am now. Neptune is moving direct in Pisces. Neptune moving direct in Pisces says, I see the bigger picture of what I'm creating and leaving my legacy on the planet for now. I fully see that bigger picture, and there's nothing. I'm using that now in my bike race. It's my guiding principle. Full moon and eclipse in Gemini is I'm seeing the reflection of my intimacy. I'm seeing the reflection of my telepathy, my transparency. On December 1st, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your second house of values. I am fully communicating my values. I'm fully in a like, I value my values, and I know why I value them, and I don't apologize. I'm completely communicating from my values.
Yeah.
On the 15th, we have two things happening. Venus will move into Sagittarius, meaning there's so much grace when I'm aligned with my values. That's the day after, right?
Right. Yeah.
The 14th, the new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. New moon solar eclipses, I'm planting the seed to be in alignment with my values. Mercury's communicating about my values. Venus is saying there's so much grace when you're aligned with your values. Chiron's moving direct, meaning I carry medicine regarding the values of this temple. I carry medicine regarding the values of this temple. It's a lot going on in December because the bike race has started. On the 17th, Saturn moves into Aquarius, and we see the early vision again. We actually see it manifest, and it's here to stay. The early vision of the that we saw, like, oh, I see it. Then it went away. We see it again, and it's here to stay. We're out of the woods, and it's not retrograding. The next 28 years are going to be in alignment with this new vision. We've said it. We've made the bed. We're sleeping in it. We love it. Hopefully, we love it.
How is it defined by 28 years?
Because Saturn takes 28 years to move through a whole cycle. So we've reconstructed through Capricorn all of our structures. You've restructured your entire belief system through Capricorn, and so you're still gonna be able to shift your beliefs, but not through the way that. Yeah, you're setting a new template for the next 28 years. You're going to be completely restructuring different things as it moves forward, but this is the set template for the way you're going to interface with belief from now on for 28 years. So the 17th, Saturn moves into Aquarius, new vision. On the 19th, Jupiter moves into Aquarius. New vision is amazing growth. Like, boom, we see it. The growth, we see all of our growth on the 19th. On the 21st, Jupiter and Saturn conjunct. It's the harvest of all the work that we've done. We're like, the bike race is going, we're like in the present moment. We're acting from our congruence, everything, like synchronicity, the weaver, all the things. And then on the 29th, the full moon in Cancer is proof. The full moon in Cancer is going to be a reflection of being present and experiencing everything with a new wisdom of the perfection of it, the truth of the perfection of every experiential moment.
Okay.
Yes, that's 29th. So that is the year. I covered so much in this conversation, and you can see, like, I gave you the ultimate expression of learning how to master your bicycle. Mm-hmm. We also know that there will be people who will be like, oh, fuck.
Right.
This is the bed. The disease is not curable. Mm-hmm. I've lost my legs. Mm-hmm. My son died from addiction. Like, there will be things that there will be like, this is the bed I'm sleeping in now. And there's things that have happened that I'm never going to be the same person I was before. And because of my belief system, the world had to do it for me. the world had to reflect this to me so I could experience the pain, so I could learn things. And we will be positioned in a way, part of what we're doing for the first tier is creating bridges with what we create. We're not helping the first tier. We are creating bridges for the first tier for them to walk over themselves. Yeah. So whatever we're creating, we think of it, we imagine people being able to walk over that bridge to experience life differently. And we experience life differently. That's how we know that these bridges can exist. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Wow. I have to go back and look and listen to that, but I just, I mean, obviously, but the, how, what is this, all the tiers, like, what is this? Why is it broken down into tiers?
It's like dimensional consciousness. If we,
it's the theme of the year. Is that what
human consciousness has been edging toward, we've been calling it the ascension. Uh-huh. We've been calling it the new paradigm. Yeah. We've been calling it the Aquarian age. Mm-hmm. We've been calling it all these things. What it essentially is a different perspective, a new way of being able to see that is more of a collective consciousness. It's a field consciousness rather than an individuated consciousness. When Kay Pacha was talking about how a soul has been individuating to the point where it's a tiny little dewdrop on the end of a leaf, it reaches the point, and this woman, Monique, it reaches a point where we've individuated through our own personal consciousness to where we actually come to the awareness. It's the second awakening of the Buddha. The first awakening of the Buddha is when the Buddha becomes awakened as an individual. When that happens, the Buddha realizes it's a part of all that is. It's a part of field consciousness. Yeah. And when it becomes when it recognizes it's a part of field consciousness, it also recognizes that there's no true awakening until all of consciousness is awakened. And so the Buddha then dedicates its life to service, to create bridges for the individuated to come into that field awareness. So we are given this opportunity to do the awareness. If we have beliefs that are very individuated and we take things personally and we believe it's about us, we're in the first tier working our way towards second tier consciousness. And we will experience we'll believe that our pain is our pain. It's not a pain of the collective that we've just tapped into. Because field consciousness is, wow, this is the collective's feeling of abandonment. This is the collective's feeling of loss of connection. This is the collective's feeling of not being believed. Okay? So as we move through that as an individual, we believe it's ours. We believe it's our story. Yeah. And we must, because that's how we individuate. And once we individuate to that tiny dewdrop, we feel the call to drop back into the ocean. And we experience that desire to serve the collective because we understand that the collective is, that we're a part of that. And we're able to be a part of it and hold the consciousness of the truth. And the truth is we're all connected, which is what we become aware of when we as we individuated to the nth degree. Wow. So the first tier are those who are still individuating through their own personal stories.
And everybody's going through this.
Everyone. There's no such thing as an ascension where this first tier ascends off the planet. Yeah, right. It doesn't actually happen because all it is, it's like it's like when you're sitting in meditation and your feet are asleep. Mm-hmm. And you while you're in that meditation, you completely lost recollection of your body because they're asleep. And then you start to move and you recognize that you're still connected to your feet. And then, oh shit, as it becomes more aware, there's a lot of pain as your feet begin to integrate back with your body. And then you're not in pain anymore as the whole body becomes, you're not going to cut your fucking legs off because they're asleep. you're going to do whatever you need to do to get your feet to wake up. This is what the awakening, the first awakening awakens us to, so that we can actually do whatever's necessary, massage, moving around, whatever, to get our feet to wake up, because we're all one body. So the head doesn't get to ascend off of the body just because the feet are asleep.
Wow, that's tremendous.
It's tremendous. Okay, I'm going to stop.